The fork slipped from Shanice's hand and clattered against her plate. Every eye at my dining table turned to her, but she wasn't looking at any of them. She was staring at me with this smile. This ugly, twisted smile that said she thought she'd finally won. "Mama Lorraine," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness, "I have something for you." She reached into her designer purse, the one I knew my son Devin had bought her with his hard-earned money, and pulled out a white envelope. The Sunday dinner chatter died down. My grandbabies, 8-year-old Zion and 6-year-old Amara, stopped playing with their mashed potatoes. Even Gerald, my husband of 42 years, went still in his chair. Shanice stood up, her heels clicking on my hardwood floor as she walked around the table. She was wearing red, blood red, and that serpent smile never left her face. When she reached me, she bent down close to my ear. "Since you're too stupid to notice," she whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear, "here are the photos of me sleeping with your husband." She dropped the envelope in my lap like it was a gift, like she was doing me a favor. The room exploded. Devin jumped up so fast his chair fell backward. "Shanice, what the hell?" "Mommy?" Amara's little voice cracked. But I didn't move. I just sat there, looking at that envelope in my lap, feeling 73 years of wisdom settle over me like my grandmother's church shawl. I'd been waiting for this moment for 6 months. 6 long months of pretending I didn't see. 6 months of acting like a foolish old woman while I gathered every piece of evidence I needed. I picked up my phone from beside my plate, my iPhone that Shanice thought I was too old to figure out. My hands didn't shake. Not even a little. "Baby," I said, my voice calm as Sunday morning, "before you celebrate, there's something you need to see." I turned my phone screen toward her. The color drained from her face like water down a sink. Her mouth opened. Her eyes went wide. And then Shanice, tall, proud, 29-year-old Shanice who thought she was so smart, dropped to my dining room floor like a puppet with cut strings. She'd fainted dead away. Before we continue, please comment below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to help us hit that big 1,000 subscriber milestone. Let me take you back to the beginning, back to where this whole mess started. It was March, 6 months before that Sunday dinner. I was coming home early from my volunteer shift at Little Zion Baptist Church. We'd been packing care boxes for the shelter, but my arthritis was acting up something fierce, so Sister Patricia told me to go on home and rest. I was grateful. At 73, I'd learned to listen when my body talked to me. I pulled my old Buick into the driveway and noticed Gerald's truck was there. That was strange. He was supposed to be at his Wednesday poker game with the fellas from the neighborhood. He'd been going every Wednesday for 20 years. I walked up to my front door, the one Devin had painted blue for me last summer, and heard music playing inside. Not gospel music, not the jazz Gerald usually liked. Something else, something that made my stomach turn. I opened the door quiet-like. The music was coming from upstairs, from my bedroom. Now, I'm not a fool. I've lived 7 decades on this earth. I've seen things, survived things, buried things. But when you've been married 42 years, when you've raised 3 children together and buried 1, when you've prayed together through job losses and health scares and everything else life throws at you, you don't want to believe certain things are true. But I walked up those stairs anyway. The bedroom door was cracked open, and there they were. My husband of 42 years and my daughter-in-law, in my bed, on the quilts my grandmother had made with her own hands. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there in the hallway, watching through that crack in the door, feeling something inside me go cold and hard as ice. Gerald's back was to me. He didn't see me, but Shanice did. Our eyes met, and you know what that girl did? She smiled. While she was in bed with my husband, while she was betraying my son, while she was destroying my grandbaby's family, she looked me dead in the eye and smiled. Then she put her finger to her lips. "Shh." I turned around and walked back down those stairs. Got in my car, drove to the parking lot of Save-A-Lot, and sat there for 2 hours, hands on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. When I finally went back home, Gerald was sitting in his recliner watching the news like nothing had happened. "How was church?" he asked. "Blessed," I said. "How was poker?" "Won $30, he lied, smooth as silk. That's when I knew. This wasn't new. This wasn't some mistake. This was practiced, rehearsed. They'd done this before, probably many times, and they thought I was too old, too trusting, too stupid to ever figure it out. That night, after Gerald fell asleep, snoring like he always did, like he hadn't just ripped my heart clean out of my chest, I lay awake making a decision. I could confront them. I could cry and scream and tear my family apart right then and there. Or I could be smart. I chose smart. The next morning, I called my best friend Wanda. We'd known each other since 2nd grade at Washington Elementary. She'd buried 2 husbands and raised 5 kids on her own. If anyone would understand, it was Wanda. "Meet me at Rosie's Soul Food Kitchen," I told her. "And Wanda, don't tell nobody where you're going." Rosie's was a little black-owned restaurant on the east side where the food was good and the booths were private. Wanda was already there when I arrived, her silver locks pulled back, her reading glasses on a chain around her neck. "Girl, you look like death," she said when I slid into the booth across from her. I told her everything. Wanda listened, her face getting harder with every word. When I finished, she reached across the table and took my hand. "What you gonna do?" she asked. "I'm gonna be smart about it," I said. "I'm gonna document everything, every lie, every time he sneaks off, every dollar he spends on her. And when I have enough, when I have everything I need, then I'm gonna make my move." "You need a lawyer," Wanda said. "I need more than that," I told her. "I need to know why. Why would Shanice do this? She has a good husband, 2 beautiful babies. Devin works hard, gives her everything. Why risk all that?" Wanda drummed her fingers on the table, thinking. There's only 2 reasons people do dirt like this: love or money. And from what you're telling me, that girl ain't in love. "Money," I said slowly. "But what money? Devin and Shanice don't have much. They're still paying off student loans." "Not Devin's money," Wanda said. "Your money." It hit me like a slap. The house. The house that had been in my family for 3 generations. The house that was worth nearly $500,000 now that the neighborhood had been fixed up. The house that Gerald and I had always planned to leave to our children. "You think they're trying to cut Devin out," I said. "I think they're trying to cut everybody out but themselves," Wanda replied. "Think about it, Lorraine. If Gerald leaves you for Shanice, if they make it look like you're the problem, maybe get you declared incompetent or something, they'd get everything," I finished. My stomach turned. And Devin would be left with nothing. The grandbabies would be left with nothing. "You need to talk to Brother Marcus," Wanda said. "You know he's a real estate lawyer now, and you need to start writing things down. Dates, times, everything." Brother Marcus Davis was Wanda's nephew. He'd grown up in our church, and I'd watched him go from a skinny kid in the youth choir to a successful lawyer with his own practice. More importantly, I trusted him. That evening, I started my documentation. I bought a little notebook from the dollar store and started writing down everything I could remember. Every Wednesday, Gerald claimed to have poker night. Every time Shanice came over without the kids, every lie I could think of. Then I did something Gerald thought I was too old to do. I figured out how to check our bank accounts online. I'd always let him handle the finances because that was how we'd done things for 42 years. But I wasn't nobody's fool. I got into those accounts and started looking. What I found made my blood run cold. Over the past year, Gerald had withdrawn nearly $50,000 in cash. $50,000. Our retirement money. The money we'd saved for medical bills and emergencies. Just gone. I printed out every statement, put them in a folder, added them to my evidence. The next Sunday, I went to church like always, sat in my usual pew, third row from the front on the left side. Devin and Shanice came in late, as they usually did, with Zion and Amara. Shanice was wearing a new outfit. Designer, expensive. She caught me looking and had the nerve to wave, all smiles. After service, during fellowship hour, I was pouring punch when Shanice sidled up next to me. "Mama Lorraine," she said, all sweet. "You feeling okay? You seem a little tired lately." "Just my arthritis acting up," I lied. "Getting old ain't for the weak." "Maybe you should think about slowing down," she said. "You know, maybe it's time to think about your future. Have you and Papa Gerald thought about updating your will? You know, to make things easier for everyone when the time comes?" There it was, as bold as brass. She was trying to rush me into my grave. I smiled at her, my best grandmother smile. "Oh, honey, don't you worry about me. The good Lord ain't done with me yet. I got plans." Her smile faltered just a little. "Plans?" "Big plans," I said. And I walked away. That week, I met with Brother Marcus at his office downtown. I brought my notebook, my bank statements, everything. He read through it all, his face getting grimmer with each page. "Miss Lorraine," he said finally, "this is elder abuse, financial exploitation. We could press charges." "Not yet," I said. "I need more. I need to know the full extent of it. And Marcus, I need to protect my grandbabies. Whatever happens, Zion and Amara can't be caught in the crossfire." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to get ugly. When people are backed into a corner, they lash out. Are you prepared for that?" "I've survived Jim Crow, the death of my daughter, and raising 3 black sons in America," I said. "I can handle this." He smiled, just a little. "Yes, ma'am, I believe you can. Here's what we're going to do." Over the next few months, I became someone I'd never been before. I became a detective. A spy in my own home. I installed a camera in the living room, hidden in a picture frame. Gerald never noticed. Why would he? I was just his old wife who didn't know nothing about technology. That camera caught everything. Every time Shanice came over while Devin was at work. Every kiss. Every whispered conversation. And most importantly, every discussion about money. They talked about it constantly. How they'd sell the house once they got rid of me. How they'd split the money. How they'd tell Devin I'd gone senile. That I'd given Gerald power of attorney willingly. "She's so out of it lately," Shanice said on the camera one Wednesday afternoon. "Devin already thinks she's losing it. Yesterday she asked him the same question 3 times. I'd done that on purpose, of course, playing confused, playing old and forgetful. Making everyone think I was slipping. But the worst part, the part that really cut me deep, was listening to Gerald. The man I'd loved for 42 years. The man I'd raised children with. The father of my babies. "Lorraine's been a good wife," he said to Shanice. "But she's old now. Tired. She'll be happier in a nursing home anyway. She won't have to worry about anything." A nursing home. They were planning to put me in a nursing home and take everything. I showed the videos to Marcus. "Is this enough?" I asked. "It's enough for a divorce and charges of elder abuse," he said. "But Miss Lorraine, I think there's more here. The way they're talking, this sounds like conspiracy. Let me do some digging." 2 weeks later, Marcus called me. "Miss Lorraine, you need to come to my office. Now." When I got there, he had papers spread out all over his desk. "Your husband and daughter-in-law have been planning this for over a year," he said. "Look at this." He showed me documents, applications for power of attorney that Gerald had filled out but not filed yet. A draft of a new will that left everything to him. Papers from a nursing facility with my name on them. Insurance documents. They were going to have you declared incompetent, Marcus explained. Probably would have used your arthritis medicine against you, claimed you were taking too much, that you were confused. Once they had you declared incompetent, Gerald would get full power of attorney. Then the house, the money, everything would be his. And with him and Shanice together, they'd cut Devin out completely, I finished, and my grandbabies. There's more, Marcus said quietly. I did some checking on your bank accounts. That $50,000? Some of it went to pay off Shanice's credit cards. Some went to a down payment on a condo. They were setting up a love nest. I sat in that office and felt a fury I'd never felt before. Not hurt anymore. Not sad. Just pure, righteous anger. What do I do? I asked. Marcus smiled. We set a trap. And Miss Lorraine, you're going to need to be the best actress you've ever been. So that's what I did. For 3 more months, I played the role of my life. I acted more confused. I forgot conversations. I let Gerald handle more and more of the finances. I watched as Shanice got bolder, more confident. I invited them for Sunday dinners and smiled while Shanice sat at my table, eating my food, all while sleeping with my husband and plotting to steal my life. And I gathered evidence. Oh, honey, I gathered everything. Videos, bank statements, text messages that Marcus's tech expert recovered from old phones, recorded conversations, witness statements from neighbors who'd seen Shanice's car at my house during the day. I built a case so tight, so complete, that there would be no escape. Then, last week, Shanice made her final mistake. She got cocky. She must have decided it was time to speed things along, to force my hand. She had Gerald take those photos, proof of their affair, and she decided to present them to me in front of the whole family. She wanted to humiliate me, break me, make me run away so they could have everything. She thought I was stupid. She thought I was weak. She thought wrong. So when she dropped that envelope in my lap at Sunday dinner, when she whispered those cruel words, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just picked up my phone and showed her the truth. On my screen was a video, a compilation of every moment I'd caught on camera, her and Gerald in my living room, their conversations about putting me away, the bank statements showing stolen money, the documents proving their conspiracy, and at the end, a letter from Marcus Davis, attorney at law, explaining that copies of all this evidence had already been sent to the police, to Devin, and to the district attorney's office. She looked at that phone, and she saw her whole plan crumbling. She saw prison time. She saw losing her children. She saw everything she'd schemed for turning to ash. And that's when Shanice fainted, right there on my dining room floor. While my grandbabies watched and my son started screaming and my husband finally understood that he'd underestimated his wife. The old woman he thought was too stupid to notice had noticed everything. Devin was on his knees beside Shanice, trying to wake her up. Call 911, he shouted. Mom, what did you show her? What's happening? I stood up slowly, feeling every one of my 73 years, but standing tall. I looked at Gerald, who'd gone pale as a ghost. Devin, baby, I said calmly, your father and your wife have been having an affair. They've also been stealing from me and planning to have me declared incompetent so they could take everything. The police are on their way. And son, I'm sorry you had to find out like this, but I need you to take Zion and Amara into the kitchen. Right now. Devin looked at me like he didn't know me. Then he looked at his father, then at Shanice, who was starting to come around on the floor. Is this true? He asked Gerald. Gerald opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. He looked like a fish gasping for air. Shanice sat up, her hair messed up, mascara running. Devin, baby, I can explain. Is it true? Devin roared. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see police lights flashing blue and red. Devin looked at me one more time, and I saw my son's heart breaking in real time. Then he scooped up both kids and carried them out of the room. Gerald finally found his voice. Lorraine, please. Don't, I said. Don't you dare. I walked to the door and opened it. 2 police officers stood there, and behind them, Brother Marcus in his suit and tie. "Mrs. Washington," one of the officers said. "We need to speak with Gerald Washington and Shanice Washington regarding charges of elder abuse, financial exploitation, and fraud." I stepped aside and let them in. Shanice screamed. Actually screamed. "You can't do this! I'll tell them you're crazy! That you're senile! Nobody will believe you!" Marcus walked over to her with his briefcase. "Mrs. Washington, I have 17 pieces of video evidence, 43 pages of financial records, and sworn testimony from 5 witnesses. I don't think crazy is going to work as a defense." The officers read them their rights, both of them, right there in my dining room while the pot roast went cold on the table. They put handcuffs on my husband of 42 years, led him out of our house. Shanice was screaming and crying, begging them to think of her children. I thought of my children. I thought of my grandbabies in the kitchen, probably scared out of their minds, and I thought, this ain't over. Not by a long shot. After the police took Gerald and Shanice away, my house got real quiet. Too quiet. I could hear Zion crying in the kitchen, asking his daddy why the police took his mommy. I could hear Devin trying to explain something that no 8-year-old should have to understand. I stood in my dining room, looking at the half-eaten food on the table, at Shanice's designer purse still on the chair, at the envelope of photos she'd tried to use as a weapon. Marcus put his hand on my shoulder. "Miss Lorraine, you need to sit down," he said gently. "I need to see about my grandbabies," I replied. I walked into the kitchen. Devin was sitting on the floor with both kids in his arms. His eyes were red. When he looked up at me, I saw something I'd never seen before in my son's face. Complete devastation. "Mom," he said, his voice breaking. "Is it all true? Everything you said?" I got down on that floor with them. My knees protested, but I didn't care. I pulled all 3 of them into my arms. "Yes, baby," I said. "It's true. And I'm so sorry you had to find out like this." "How long have you known?" he asked. 6 months? He pulled back, hurt flashing across his face. 6 months? You knew for 6 months and didn't tell me? "I had to be sure," I said. "I had to have proof. If I'd come to you with just what I saw, they would have called me crazy. They would have turned you against me. Baby, they were planning to put me in a nursing home and take everything." Devin put his face in his hands. "I brought her into this family. I married her. I gave her my children." "You didn't know," I said firmly. "How could you know? She fooled all of us." "Not you," he said. "She didn't fool you." "Only because I caught them," I replied. "Devin, listen to me. This is not your fault. None of this is your fault." Little Amara looked up at me with her big brown eyes. "Grandma, is Mommy going to jail?" My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. "Sweetheart, your mommy made some very bad choices. She hurt people. And when grown-ups hurt people, there are consequences." "But I want my mommy," she cried. I held her tight. "I know, baby. I know." Zion was quiet, his little face serious. "Did Mommy hurt you, Grandma?" "Yes, honey, she did." "Then she needs a time out," he said with the simple logic of a child. "A big one." Despite everything, I almost smiled. "Yes, baby. A very big time out." That night, Devin and the kids stayed with me. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? I made up beds for the kids in the guest room, the room that used to be my daughter Keisha's before we lost her to cancer 15 years ago. I tucked them in and prayed over them like I used to pray over my own babies. When I came back downstairs, Devin was sitting at the kitchen table with Marcus. There were papers spread everywhere. "We need to talk about next steps," Marcus was saying. "The district attorney is going to prosecute both of them. Elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy. Miss Lorraine, they're looking at serious time." "How much time?" Devin asked, his voice hollow. Could be anywhere from 5 to 15 years, depending on how it goes. Devin dropped his head into his hands. My kids are going to grow up with their mother in prison. Your kids are going to grow up safe and loved, I corrected him. That's what matters. What about Dad? Devin asked quietly. What's going to happen to him? I looked at my son. Your father made his choices. He betrayed his family. He stole from us. He planned to have me locked away. Whatever happens to him, he brought it on himself. But you loved him, Devin said. You were married for 42 years. And I'll grieve that, I admitted. But Devin, the man I loved? He died 6 months ago. The man who did this? I don't know him at all. The next few weeks were a nightmare. The story hit the local news. Elderly woman exposes husband and daughter-in-law's plot to steal her home. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters camped out on my lawn. Church members came by with casseroles and prayers and gossip disguised as concern. But some folks were genuine. Wanda came every day. Sister Patricia organized a prayer circle. Brother James from the deacon board helped Devin find a good divorce attorney. The community that mattered, my real community, rallied around us. The preliminary hearing was in October. I had to face Gerald in court for the first time since that Sunday dinner. He looked older, smaller somehow, in his orange jumpsuit. When our eyes met, he looked away. Shanice, on the other hand, came in fighting. She'd gotten herself a fancy lawyer somehow, probably her mama's money. And that lawyer tried everything. Your Honor, he said smoothly, my client maintains that Mrs. Washington is suffering from dementia and has fabricated these accusations. We request a full psychological evaluation. Marcus stood up. Your Honor, we have 17 videos showing the defendants discussing their plans in explicit detail. Mrs. Washington's competency is not in question. In fact, her ability to gather this evidence demonstrates exceptional mental acuity. The judge, a black woman in her 50s named Judge Thompson, looked over her glasses at Shanice's lawyer. Counselor, I've reviewed the evidence. Unless you have something new to present, I suggest you save the dementia angle for someone who hasn't watched your client literally discuss putting her mother-in-law in a nursing home while stealing her money. I almost said amen, right there in the courtroom. The judge ruled that both Gerald and Shanice would stand trial. Bail was set at $100,000 each. Neither one could make it. They stayed in jail. After the hearing, Devin and I stood outside the courthouse. Reporters swarmed us, but Marcus and Brother James made a path through them. One reporter shoved a microphone in my face. Mrs. Washington, how do you feel about your husband facing prison time? I stopped and looked directly at the camera. I feel like justice is being served, and I want other elderly folks out there to know, if someone is stealing from you, abusing you, taking advantage of you, you don't have to stay silent. You're not alone. Fight back. That clip went viral. By the next morning, my story was everywhere. National news picked it up. I got letters from all over the country, other elderly people sharing their own stories of abuse, thanking me for speaking up. The trial started in January. It lasted 2 weeks. I had to sit there and watch video after video of my husband and my daughter-in-law plotting against me. I had to hear Gerald's lawyer try to paint me as a vindictive old woman who couldn't accept that her marriage was over. But Marcus was brilliant. He brought in financial experts who showed exactly how they'd stolen from me. He brought in the doctor who'd examined me and confirmed I was perfectly competent. He even brought in Sister Patricia, who testified that I'd been volunteering at the church for 30 years and had never shown any signs of confusion or dementia. The hardest part was when Devin had to testify. My baby had to get on that stand and talk about his marriage, about how Shanice had changed over the past year, about the lies he'd believed. Did you know your wife was having an affair with your father? The prosecutor asked. No, Devin said, his voice steady but broken. I trusted them both. I never thought... I couldn't imagine... His voice cracked. Take your time, the prosecutor said gently. Devin looked at me from the witness stand. My mother is the strongest woman I know. She raised 3 boys, buried her only daughter, survived every hardship life threw at her. And I let my wife disrespect her. I let my father betray her. I should have protected her. You didn't know, I said out loud, forgetting where I was. The judge banged her gavel, but gave me a kind look. Mrs. Washington, please. Sorry, Your Honor, I said. But my son needs to hear this. He didn't know. None of this is his fault. Judge Thompson nodded. The court agrees. Mr. Washington, you are a victim here too. Please continue. When it was my turn to testify, I walked up to that stand with my head high. I told my story, all of it. How I'd caught them, how I'd felt, how I'd decided to be smart instead of emotional. Mrs. Washington, Gerald's lawyer said during cross-examination, isn't it true that you and your husband had been having marital problems for years? No, I said firmly. That's not true. Come now, he pressed. 42 years of marriage. There must have been issues. Every marriage has issues, I said. But we worked through them. We prayed through them. We stayed committed. At least, I thought we did. And when you saw your husband with another woman, you didn't confront him. You didn't try to work it out. Instead, you plotted revenge. Marcus objected, but I held up my hand. Your Honor, may I answer? Go ahead, Mrs. Washington, Judge Thompson said. I looked at that lawyer, then at Gerald, then at the jury. I didn't plot revenge. I protected myself and my family. There's a difference. If I had just screamed and cried and confronted them that day, they would have called me crazy. They would have convinced my son I was losing my mind. They would have gotten power of attorney and put me away. So yes, I gathered evidence. I was smart. I was strategic. Because at 73 years old, in a world that already doesn't always respect elderly black women, I had to be smarter than them to survive. And I make no apologies for that. The courtroom erupted in applause. The judge had to bang her gavel to restore order. But I saw some of the jurors nodding. I saw it in their faces. They understood. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they came back, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Gerald got 12 years. Shanice got 10. They also had to pay full restitution, every penny they'd stolen, plus damages. When the judge read the sentence, Shanice screamed and collapsed. Gerald just sat there staring at his hands. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired and sad and ready to move on. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed again. This time, I was ready. I want to say something, I told them. This wasn't about revenge. This was about justice. It was about protecting myself and my family. But mostly, it was about showing my grandbabies that when someone hurts you, you don't have to just take it. You fight back. You stand up. You use your voice. One reporter asked, "What's next for you, Mrs. Washington?" I smiled. Living my life. On my terms. Finally. The next few months were about healing. Devin filed for divorce. Shanice tried to fight it from prison, but it went through anyway. He got full custody of Zion and Amara. They moved in with me. At first I worried, 73-year-old woman raising 2 young kids again. But honey, those babies gave me life. Zion started doing better in school. Amara's nightmares stopped. We became our own little family. The house, my grandmother's house, stayed mine. I had Marcus help me set up a trust to make sure it would go to my boys and my grandbabies. Nobody could ever take it from us again. I started speaking at senior centers about elder abuse. Wanda came with me. We told our stories, mine of surviving it, hers of surviving other things, and we watched other elderly folks find their courage. The church threw me a celebration for my 74th birthday. The whole congregation showed up. Sister Patricia made her famous sweet potato pie. Brother James led us in songs. Devin got up and gave a speech that had everyone crying. My mother taught me that strength isn't about never falling down, he said. It's about getting back up. It's about fighting for what's right even when you're scared. Mom, you saved us. You saved me and my kids, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to be half as strong as you. That night, after everyone left, I sat on my porch with Wanda. The grandbabies were inside watching a movie. Devin was cleaning up the kitchen. The summer air was warm and sweet. You did good, Lorraine, Wanda said. We did good, I corrected her. Couldn't have done it without you. What you gonna do with all that restitution money? She asked. I'd thought about it. The court had ordered Gerald and Shanice to pay back everything they stole, plus damages. It was a lot of money. More than I needed. I'm going to set up college funds for Zion and Amara, I said. The rest? I'm going to start a foundation to help other elderly folks fight back against abuse. Legal fees, investigation costs, whatever they need. Wanda smiled. Of course you are. You can't help but help people. Learned it from my grandmother, I said. She used to say, when you survive something, you have a responsibility to help others survive it too. Your grandmother was a wise woman. Yes, she was. We sat in comfortable silence, rocking in our chairs, watching the fireflies come out. You miss him? Wanda asked quietly. Gerald? I thought about it, really thought about it. I miss who I thought he was. I miss the man I married 42 years ago. But that man, the one who plotted to steal from me and put me away, I don't miss him at all. That's healthy, Wanda said. It's honest, I replied. And at my age, honey, I don't have time for anything but honesty. A year later, I got a letter from Gerald. He was in prison upstate. The letter was long, full of apologies and excuses. He said he loved me. He said he'd made mistakes. He said he wanted me to forgive him. I read it once. Then I put it in a box with all the other evidence of his betrayal. Not because I wanted to hold on to it, but because I wanted to remember. I wanted to remember what I'd survived, what I'd overcome. I didn't write back. Forgiveness, I'd learned, didn't mean reconciliation. It meant freeing yourself from the weight of someone else's sins. And I was free. Devin met someone new, a nice woman named Angela who worked as a teacher. She was kind to my grandbabies, patient with Devin's healing. When he introduced us, she shook my hand and said, Mrs. Washington, I've heard so much about you. You're a hero. I'm just a grandmother protecting her family, I said. That's what makes you a hero, she replied. Last month, on a Sunday afternoon, I was sitting in my living room, the same living room where I'd caught Gerald and Shanice on camera, playing Uno with Zion and Amara. The doorbell rang. It was a young woman, maybe 30 years old, with papers in her hand. Mrs. Washington? She said. My name is Keisha, like your daughter. I saw your story on the news. My grandmother. She's being taken advantage of by her son. He's stealing her pension checks. And I don't know what to do. I looked at this young woman, saw the fear and desperation in her eyes, and I smiled. Come in, baby, I said. Let's talk. Because that's what we do. We survive. And then we help others survive. We stand up. We fight back. We protect each other. I'm 75 years old now. I've buried a daughter, divorced a husband, sent my daughter-in-law to prison, and raised my grandbabies through the worst trauma of their young lives. I've spoken at conferences, started a foundation, and helped dozens of elderly folks fight back against abuse. My house, my grandmother's house, is still standing, still full of love and laughter and Sunday dinners, still proof that they tried to break me, and they failed. Every morning I wake up in my own bed, in my own home, surrounded by people who truly love me. Zion and Amara are thriving. Devin is healing. And me? I'm living my best life, on my terms, free and strong and unbreakable. They thought I was too stupid to notice. They thought I was too weak to fight back. They thought wrong. And that's the lesson I want to leave with you. No matter how old you are, no matter how tired you feel, no matter how alone you think you are stronger than you know. You deserve respect. You deserve dignity. You deserve justice. And if someone tries to take those things from you, you fight. You gather your evidence. You find your allies. And you show them exactly what you're made of, because we are warriors. Every last one of us. And warriors don't quit. They win. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.